At the onset of the FDA's investigation over the discovery of the orgone, or life energy, ignited by a fierce mass media attack in the form of slander and lies that originated with an article written by Mildred Brady in a magazine called The New Republic, Wilhelm Reich ensured that not a single statement written against the discovery remained unchallenged, clarified, placed under the light of scrutiny, under scientific demonstration in front of each and everyone who raised a voice against it. While no clarification, challenge, or scientific demonstration was accepted by any organism involved in the defamation of the discovery and its discoverer, lies, ridicule, slander, deception, and treason against humanity spread like wildfire by means of the medium of mass communication that was centralized and operated under the same control of those who ignited the persecution and destruction of any knowledge of a universal cosmic power named Orgone by its discoverer. Thousands of words on behalf of the discovery of the orgone, or life energy, flooded the offices of each and everyone involved in the defamation of its name, offering clarification, offering facts, offering the opportunity to witness a demonstration of the reality that would turn their misconceptions upside down, thus granting them the option to rectify, to conduct themselves under the dignity of a true process of exposition to a general public opinion, thirsty to see the light. Instead, the lie prevailed. This is just one of many documents written by Wilhelm Reich in this regard, under the title of Communication Number 4, from the archives of the Orgone Institute. The time for its exposition, within the frame of contemporary broadcasting options, has now arrived.
I would like to plead for my right to investigate natural phenomena without having any guns pointed at me. I also ask for the right to be wrong without being hanged for it. I wish I could convince everybody concerned that the Food and Drug Administration is neither capable of nor equipped or entitled to deal with the orgone energy. Orgone energy is neither a foodstuff nor a drug or a cosmetic. The Food and Drug Administration would have to prove that they know how to demonstrate the universal existence of a basic cosmic energy with the Geiger-Müller counter before I would concede their right to do what they propose to do, namely, to study his device and to examine the details of the experimental work. Orgone energy is an overwhelming phenomenon of nature. Overwhelming because it has been so thoroughly overlooked, although it has been functioning in every single cell of the organism of man ever since he existed. In the light of the magnitude of this fact, the laws about shipping in interstate commerce shrink to utter insignificance. Unless we ourselves fully recognize this discrepancy, no matter what the consequences, we are not worthy of being called researchers in orgone physics.
The reference to the Geiger-Müller counter follows an experiment in which the device's counter tube, when exposed to a high concentration of orgone energy, registered a significantly greater number of impulses than those recorded under the same experimental conditions when exposed to nuclear radiation. This markedly higher count of impulses was capable to trigger a motor force into motion, a force ignited and sustained solely by the orgone energy's radiation.
New discoveries of natural functions have always created the necessity for new laws for their administration. The airplane brought about new laws. It could not have been administered by laws pertaining to the steam engine. New laws had to be put into effect when electrical or atomic energy became a social issue. Obviously, atomic energy could not be administered like Kreml's hair tonic. Now, The orgone energy is not only a newly discovered type of energy, it shows in the clearest objective language of natural science a faster reaction on the Geiger-Müller counter than even atomic energy. It is also more powerful as a social issue because it has those beneficial biological effects which are sought for in vain in atomic energy. The facts make it obvious that new laws will have to be put into effect for the administration of the cosmic orgone energy.
From empowering the organism, thus allowing it to self-regulate and combat disease, to healing the atmospheric process that imbues the planet, being one and the same force that both ignites and maintains life, the orgone, or life energy, holds the evolutionary qualities that stand in direct opposition to those of atomic power. Yet the latter has been imposed over the living process, while knowledge of the former has been fiercely suppressed by the enemies of evolution.
Orgone energy, then, is in a situation similar to that of atomic energy. This fact calls for courage, knowledge, and a strong will to win out in this fight. A mechanical, and therefore empty, application of the law, in this case the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, to the orgone accumulator is, practically speaking, utter nonsense. Human diseases cannot be handled by laws, but only by appropriate knowledge. As stated on previous occasions, there are no authorities whatsoever in the field of orgonomy, except people who have worked in the field, thoroughly and efficiently. We do not grant any authority to the nuclear physicist or the Atomic Energy Commission in this matter, as far as factual knowledge is concerned. A physicist of the highest renown has declared himself incompetent in this matter. Even I, the discoverer, had to struggle desperately for a decade to attain some clarity about these basic natural functions. 2,000 years of natural philosophy have been filled with anguish and hard intellectual struggle about the issue involved. Should we yield to a Food and Drug Administration which deals with aspirin and such? No state authority is big enough to force us to abandon our factual authority based on knowledge. To grant authority to an agency like the Food and Drug Administration would mean reducing the importance of our work to zero. My suggestion as to how to settle this matter, which so senselessly interferes with most important work, was to ask the courts for an injunction against this investigation. There were several weighty reasons for such a course of action, besides the ones mentioned above. 1. In the beginning, in August 1947, I fully cooperated with the Food and Drug Administration, giving them all the information and explanations they wanted. Then, in October, we discovered that they mistook the Institute for a sexual racket. In spite of the denial of this fact by Mr. Wharton, Chief, Eastern District, Food and Drug Administration, there is no doubt that the investigation was carried on with the suspicion of vice, a suspicion derived from Miss Brady's slanderous articles. The report of Dr. Simeon J. Tropp, the sworn statement of Miss Lois Wyvell, the nature of questions asked of various people, and many other facts prove this point beyond any doubt.
2. Having started in this manner, this investigation clearly became an integral and important part of the general smear campaign against my work, which had begun several months earlier in magazines and newspapers. It was instigated by Miss Brady,
and it smeared our reputation in what we know to be a pestilential way, by presenting me as the originator of a sexual cult, as a quack who promised cancer cures, and as a promoter of a device which allegedly gives the user orgastic potency. The following is striking. None of the agencies of the U.S. government paid any attention to the discovery of the orgone when the Institute reported the research results to the National Research Council, to the Surgeon General of the U.S. Army, and to other places. The Food and Drug Administration did not evidence any interest in the orgone accumulator, or the fact that it was being shipped, with no therapeutic claims and for research purposes only, although my publications on the subject since 1942 speak a very clear language. In other words, this branch of the government was not interested in scientific discoveries. It became interested, however, when a communist sniper tried, for the sake of the party, to get my name and my work into disrepute. 3. In spite of the facts clearly stated in my publications and in the affidavits signed by the users of the orgone accumulator, the Food and Drug Administration still asserts, as late as December 1947, that I have sent out orgone accumulators in interstate commerce to cancer patients, and that the scientific literature published by the Orgone Institute Press was sent out for promotional purposes. I have never sent accumulators to cancer patients in the sense of the statements and implications by the Food and Drug Administration. But what impression will people get from such statements when they do not know the facts? I have not handled a cancer patient in more than 3 years. I have refused to accept advanced cancer cases for experimental orgone therapy. On the other hand, in my article Anorgonia in the Carcinomatous Shrinking Biopathy, published in early 1945, I stated explicitly, with conclusive proof, that the cancer biopathy is rooted far more deeply than anybody, physician or layman, dares to believe. Most of the people to whom orgone accumulators were sent out during the past 2 years were under the care of their own physicians. There are no more than 2 cancer cases in the classical sense among the more than 130 users of the orgone accumulator, and these are under constant supervision of their physicians. 4. In spite of all this, I was still ready to cooperate with the Food and Drug Administration. It was clear that a fair and proper evaluation of the orgone accumulator would require the cooperation of one of our more experienced physicians. But this was refused. I ask, why does this agency of the government refuse such an offer of cooperation? Are they too dignified, too almighty to accept it? Or is it because they know all the answers beforehand? 5. The Food and Drug Administration confuses a statement of medical facts with a promise of cure. I have never promised any cure for anything to anybody. I would not do so even if, instead of breaking new trails in medicine, I were practicing routine medicine. All I did was reporting results, positive as well as negative. The orgone accumulator may help in one case of shrinking biopathy, and not in another. It did, for example, make an old farmer suffering from arthritis able to walk again. In other cases of arthritis, it failed to help. Is the description of such facts promise of cure? Or did I use these results for promotional purposes when I reported so and so many cases as having died? If I had wanted to use my findings for promotional purposes, would I have stopped working on cancer cases with tumors and turned to theoretical problems of organometry? Was it promotional when I did not receive a penny for my efforts, but on the contrary, had to devote most of my time to the work without any recompensation? I wish I were wrong in warning against the emotional plague involved in all this. My suggestion to the law office of Arthur Garfield Hayes, which represents us in this matter, was to seek an injunction against this investigation. If this is not advisable or possible, then there is only one thing left for me to do: to relegate the whole matter to physicians who work with orgone therapy in biopathies, such as Dr. James A. Willis and Dr. Simeon J. Tropp. I do not wish to stand in the way of other methods of dealing with this disagreeable matter, but we must always keep in mind the many people suffering and dying who could possibly be helped or saved by the orgone energy.
I am angry. I am angry because there is so much talk of free speech and fair play. True, there is much freedom and fair play in regard to everyday matters. But to my great surprise, I found that newspapers and magazines were open to smearing attacks on my work and my name. That one writer after another copied Brady's slanderous statements, even in a Freud biography, without first trying to find out the truth in our literature. And that the same newspapers and periodicals seemed unwilling to publish a single correction of misstatements.
I am angry because a government agency, which is supposed to safeguard human health, did take affidavits from people who professed not to have been helped by the accumulator, but did not take affidavits from others who told them they had been helped. This is not fair play. It is prejudiced action. I am angry because there was no help forthcoming when I did my work on the origin of the cancer cell, when I had to earn the money to support the research, when I had to sweat it out. I am angry because I am told that there is no chance for me to go to court to put matters straight. I am angry because smearing can do anything, and truth can do so little to prevail, as it seems at the moment. I am angry because once again the political plague knifed hard-working people in the back, expecting that they would be good fellows who will take it with good humor. But this time, too much is involved. The work, and not the politicians, must prevail. We shall hit back. Hard, but fair. December 1947. Wilhelm Reich, M.D.